What's going on, guys? My name is Joshua Silva, and this is Set It Off Sundays. First and foremost, I want to say thank you for you guys taking the time to even watch these videos. And if you love the content that's coming out of here, make sure you click that subscribe button and hit the notification bell up top in order for you to get some more great information on when we have new videos popping up. So our subject today is fear. Everybody has a fear of something. Different people overcome their fears in many ways. Some of them are healthy, some of them are not so healthy. And I wanted to address this topic because I believe it's something that everybody deals with, and not that I'm the master of overcoming my fears, but I've developed some strategies along the way that have helped me significantly in overcoming my fears and putting myself in a position of doing what I want to do. So my youngest son was walking through the house barefoot one day, and he stepped on a staple. And the staple hurt his foot, and it actually got stuck under a little bit of skin in his foot, and it literally took us 45 minutes to get the staple out of his toe. Not because it was dug in there or there was no safe way to do it, but because he was so terrified that me removing it was going to hurt him so badly that he put up a fight, a strong struggle for me not to pull this staple out of his toe. And as I think back, I feel like a lot of times as adults and young adults, we do the same thing. We put ourselves in a position to where we are so overcome by the fear of what could and what we believe the outcome will be that we waste our time not addressing the issues and not taking care of a problem because of our fear. It's amazing how just by simply taking a breath and relinquishing a little bit of control as far as what we think is going to happen, we can save ourselves a lot of pain, a lot of stress, and a lot of time just by addressing the fear immediately and taking care of our business. So I think one of the most important things when we're talking about addressing your fears or how to handle them is, number one, admitting that there is a fear. Especially in males, we have this pride in us that wants to force us to run away from the idea that we could actually be afraid of something when everybody is. So the first step is admitting that you have a fear, whether it's a fear of public speaking, a fear of flying, or if you just simply didn't want to address something that was going on in a relationship because you were afraid of what the retaliation from that other person is. So number one is address the fear. I absorb my fear and I internalize it, and I actually produce good energy out of it. And I think the way that I'm able to do that is by first and foremost addressing what is a fear, and then moving on to the next step, which is how legitimate is my fear? I have a tendency of telling myself these wild stories internally in my head and making things seem worse than what they really are, when the fact of the matter is, a lot of the fears that I've had to address over the years usually are not as bad as I think they're going to be. And the truth is, we don't know. We tell ourselves these stories of what we think the worst outcome of something's going to be, and then we get afraid of what may or may not be true. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some legitimate fears. Like, I fear if I jump off a 20-story building that I'm going to die. That's pretty legitimate. We cannot fight gravity. But there are certain times where we go through experiences and we make things worse out than what they really are. So the best example I can come up with is I can remember being a kid getting called to the principal's office. And that was one of the longest walks in my life to the principal's office, because as I was going through that walk, I was worried about what the outcome of the situation was going to be. And 9 times out of 10, it was not as bad as what I thought it was going to be. Sometimes I wasn't even in trouble. So fear is definitely a legitimate thing, but how we deal with it and what we perceive on the other end of it, sometimes it isn't. So number one, we want to recognize the fear, but number two, we want to legitimize it and really make it not bigger than what it really is. Now, the secret sauce to overcoming your fears is 2 things, and we've actually talked about them in other videos. The first thing is courage. Courage is your ability to overcome your fears, and the second thing is certainty. And how you gain certainty is through knowledge. So when we do our research, when we start to understand people and start to understand certain situations, there's less to fear because there's less unknown. So by being prepared, by having understanding, we can eliminate a lot of our fears. And then the second thing is having courage. With courage, that's the ability to do something even when you are afraid. And all the good stuff in life is on the other side of fear and of pain. That's the truth. You've got to fight through it. You've got to fight through your fears and fight through your pains. And when you get through it, there's usually a reward on the other side. I think the most important thing that should be recognized is your fear is literally the one thing that's stopping you from getting what you want out of life. And you can complain all you want to anybody who's going to listen, but the bottom line is until you overcome your fears and until you do things that you don't want to do, you're not going to get the stuff that you want out of life. So it's an important strength to understand how to deal with your fears and not work around them, but go through them. And sometimes the best way of overcoming your fears is to just do it anyway. And that's what courage is about. Courage is not about being confident in your ability. Courage is about overcoming your fears and doing something even when you are afraid. And I've built businesses that way. I've developed friendships that way. I've, created strong bonds by being able to do things even when I was afraid.